Hey everyone, we're here for round one of this Pokemon Online tournament that we're playing with the Seismitoad deck. We would like to go first. I think it's, as I said in the previous video, I think that it is correct to choose to go first, regardless of if you're playing Seismitoad or not. Yes, if you go second, you can get the first. You can get the first Quaking Punch off, but there are just a lot of things that can go wrong in that scenario, and we're playing against a Lucario. Alright, so Lucario, we're going to go ahead like this. Attached to double colorless, muscle band, and juniper. Play another Trovish. Don't want to float stone either of those because I don't want to get blown out by a megaphone. So let's just go ahead and pass the turn. Pretty good turn one. If he plays Enhanced Hammer, playing the DCE is going to be pretty punishing for us there. We could have played the water and just then assumed we were going to draw another water, but I thought that because of the power of our hand, we would just most want to be able to be as aggressive as possible. So hopefully it pays off for us. Alright. Drawing two supporters, a muscle band, and an energy is nice. And there's a Enhanced Hammer, so did get pretty punished there. Landorus, Megaphone, and our opponent will likely ship the turn back. Oh, computer searching, getting rid of a supporter and an energy. Alright, just taking the time to use the items as quickly as he can. No real reason not to. Ooh, and Headringered us back. Wow, this is interesting. So now we are in a pretty bad spot. We're safe. We're going to go ahead and attach like this. And then we are fine to end here because he computer searched for his supporter. So we're just going to go ahead and reset his hand a bit. I'm going to go ahead and escape rope to clear that damage off. And then so I could have actually not attached and then scoop up Cyclone and set it back, which would be pretty interesting. But given that we don't have to worry about it too much because we're not going to be able to get the Quaking Punch off this turn anyways, I think I'm just going to ship the turn back and see what happens. Yeah, that seems correct. Our opponent does get to have Landorus active, which means that he can start attacking, but he can attack with the Lucario anyways, and at least Landorus has a large retreat and is weak to Seismitoad, so does have its certain advantages. And there's the Karina. Fighting deck seems to have fallen out of favor a bit. I know when the set was first spoiled, Furious Fist, everyone thought it was going to be so broken and it had such synergy, and there was a lot of fighting stuff. Lucario is a good card, Strong Energy is good. There's a lot of fighting support, but it just didn't really happen in the same way that people wanted to, which I think is kind of common. I think Pokemon puts these synergies in certain sets or in certain formats to kind of guide people onto what to play, but they're almost never as good as people think they are. For instance, when Dragons Exalted was first spoiled, I remember the big card. that everyone was talking about was, or the big deck that everyone was talking about was Garchomp, and Garchomp turned out to be an okay deck. Ross Cawthon took it the next two nationals the next year and top 64 with it. Some people have won tournaments with it, but it was never, the best deck you could play. It was never tier one, and it was certainly never broken. I'm gonna go ahead and enhance hammer this off. Play the Verbank. Floatstone here. And Quaking Punch. So, we have no real cards in hand, so I don't feel like we're in the best spot we've ever been in. But, especially with our opponent having the energy to attach and a Juniper. But, we're not in the worst spot either. We're going to go ahead and scoop up Cyclone here. And reset all that. This is a Floatstone. Alright, just making sure. Scoop up Cyclone and reset my opponent's last few turns, basically. And Quaking Punch again. So, like I was saying, we can very easily lose this. We're not drawing much, and our opponent has one of the decks that's just aggressive, especially with the Team Flare Grunt taking us off of Quaking Punch for the turn, most likely. Um, Seems like this deck is pretty anti-Seismitoad, but a good draw here would be nice for us. And it's a laser, so not the worst thing in the world, but now the issue is that even if he stays asleep off this laser, we are not going to be able to Quaking Punch this turn. We still have access to whatever he wants to do next turn, which could include an escape rope, a switch, etc. So, um, not exactly a great spot. If our opponent passes, the Landorus gets knocked out. We take 2 prizes. Yeah, so here's the laser. But if that happens and we don't just get knocked out this turn, we could salvage a win, but it's certainly not looking good for us now. And there's a switch. Yeah. Well. Let's see what happens. There's another Karina. Just thinning the deck out a little bit. Probably going to get an item that he can just immediately play, like a Muscle Band or an Ultra Ball to get a Raichu, or sorry, an Ultra Ball to get something else, or even the Professor Lair is fine. He just needs to. At this point, our opponent basically has the game locked up, but he needs to thin his deck as much as possible and give himself the best chance of not losing from here. And we have one draw step. Let's see what happens. Well, alright, Colress does give us a fighting chance. Seismitoad. Go ahead and attach like this, but we're just fine with the Garbodor getting knocked out. It's not doing much of anything anyways. And he knocks out the Garbodor, and we draw an N. That could be our semi-path to victory here, but we still probably cannot win from this position. And that's one of the things about the Seismitoad deck is, like I said in our previous video, there are decks like this one that can just play energies and play big Pokemon and do more damage than you and just outrace you, and you won't have a chance. Obviously, it takes a little bit of luck on either side. It takes a little bit of the right setup, but it certainly can happen. We're going to Juniper here and just see what we can do. This will not. Well, make it cost 1 more, so I guess we're going to go ahead. Oh, we can't right here. The Muscle Band. Alright, we're going to play this. We're going to Crushing Hammer. One of these off. Let's attach a water. Heads here would be nice. Nope. The reason I attached the water to the Seismitoad is because we could have attached it to the one on the bench, but because our opponent only has 2 prizes left, it's very likely that we're more likely to draw a Super Scoop Up or something of that, or a healing card than we are to draw the escape rope. Not just no, that's just game, right? No, not quite yet. We will survive with 10 HP left because it'll do 100 off the somersault kick, 120, 140. We'll go to 170 after the poison. Alright, Jirachi. Yes. I guess our best bet is, and because we get a Skyla for something like a Super Scoop Up, it doesn't really do anything for us still, so we're just going to go ahead, fire off the end. Alright, Super Scoop Up. Nope. Alright, let's go ahead. Crushing Hammer, no. Attach here. I think the laser's worth it just to try and hit the sleep. Alright, so that is a way that we can have a chance at winning. And again here, I would not bet that we're going to win this game. I don't think we're going to win this game, but what I'm doing is just playing to the outs that we have. I'm just saying, hey, I am trying to give myself the highest percentage to win this game, even if by doing these actions I go from 0.5% to win to 0.8% to win, that's, often the difference. And, like I said, we're very unlikely to win this game, but when you're playing in a tournament, regionals or cities, anything competitive, you really want to know how to play to your outs and know how to make the game happen in the way that you would like it, even if the way you would like it to happen is very unlikely. Okay, so at this point, we have to try an attack. So I think what that's going to mean is that we're going to need to, because we need to draw the double colorless, we need to Quaking Punch, knock out this Lucario. So I think what that means, and then let's see, he has this guy up, but he's not going to knock us out. This, whoops, Raichu is not going to be able to knock us out. So I think what that means is we're going to have to go for the Juniper here. We just want to draw the raw most amount of cards that we can. Alright, and then there's double colorless. We're going to go ahead and Enhanced Hammer off his double colorless. We have did the Super Scoop Up here as well. That's pretty nice. We can attach the Muscle Band here, play another Toad, and we're safe to attack. So like I said, we needed to draw the exact right amount of things, but we did it, and now we are still unlikely to win, but in a much better position than we were a couple turns ago. Opponent promotes the Raichu, hopefully does not have a DCE here. Plays a Pikachu on the bench. I'm just going to go ahead and retreat to the Pikachu and take the smallest amount of damage to his board possible. Would love to hit this Crushing Hammer here, and we do it. Alright, and then what do I want here? Do I have a Lysander in my discard pile? I do not. So I think Okay, so we could Skyla for a Lysander, but we don't have that ability, so we're gonna go ahead and Skyla for this. It's definitely an aggressive move. I just want to knock out this Pikachu and put as much pressure on our opponent as possible. Because this Pikachu buying him an extra turn is really not where we want to be. And drawing with Skyla there is not the best, but also not the worst. And there's a Karina. Gotta go ahead and get our opponent a fighting Pokemon, so gonna, Karina is definitely not what he wanted to draw, but it's gonna thin the deck out a little bit. And like I said, he has to play to his outs. Just like we did. And retreating. And passing the turn. Alright, so don't really want to get rid of all these cards. How many cards are we? Only have 4 cards in our deck, yeah. So actually, we've burned through a lot of our decks, so I think we're just going to go ahead and take this N as an insurance policy. And attack for 50. Passes the turn. Not going to play the Mewtwo because I don't see a world in which we're going to attack with it. I just think that we want to keep the maximum amount of cards in our deck as possible. We have 2 cards left. It's going to be a tight one. So we should be able to, we have 2 cards. We draw this turn, go down to 1 card. Is there anything that he can make us draw cards? No. Okay, we're going to go ahead and attack. Take the knockout. And then next turn, we should be able to, if he doesn't end us, we'll be able to Lysander that Landorus, and if he does, we'll have to see what happens. Attaches a strong energy to the Lucario. Yep, and it looks like we have the game, so yeah, very, very close match. Like I said, I think at one point we were about a 10% chance of winning the game, and then we do the right things. We were able to stall his Lucario, knock out the Lucario, get a super scoop up to make sure the Landorus could knock us out, knock the energy off his Landorus, and this is just how things go sometimes, why it's very important to play until the very, very last moment, and we're going to move on to round 2.